the human voice. It's the instrument we all play. It's probably the most powerful sound in the world. It's the only way to start a war or say, I love you. And yet, many people have the experience that when they speak, people don't listen to them. And why is that? How can we speak powerfully to make change in the world? What I'd like to suggest, there are a number of habits that we need to move away from. I've assembled for your pleasure here 7 deadly sins of speaking. I'm not pretending this is an exhaustive list, but these 7 I think are pretty large habits that we can all fail into. First, gossip. Speaking ill of somebody who's not present. Not a nice habit, and we know perfectly well the person gossiping 5 minutes later will gossip about us. Second, judging. We know people who are like this in conversation, and it's very hard to listen to somebody if you know that you're being judged and found wanting at the same time. Third, negativity. You can fall into this. My mother in the last years of her life became very negative, and it's hard to listen. I remember one day I said to her, it's October today, and she said, I know, isn't it dreadful? It's hard to listen when somebody is negative. And another form of negative, complaining. Well, this is the national art of the UK. It's our national sport. We complain about the weather, sport, about politics, and about everything. But actually, complaining is a viral misery. It's not spreading sunshine and highness in the world. Complaining is a viral excuses. We've all met this guy. Some people have a blame thrower. They just pass it on to everybody else and don't take responsibility for their actions. And again, it's hard to listen to somebody who is like that. Penultimate, the 6 of 7, it demeans our language. Actually, sometimes, for example, if I see something that I really awesome, what do I call it? And then, of course, the exaggeration becomes lying. And we don't want to listen to people we know are lying to us. And finally, dogmatism. The confusion of the facts with opinions. When those two things get conflated, you're listening to the wind, somebody is bombarding you with their opinions as they speaking gossip, judging, negativity, complaining, excuses, lying. Think about this. Yes, there is. I'd like to suggest that there are 4 really powerful and to make change in the world. Fortunately, these things spell a word. The word is hail. And it has a great definition as well. I'm not talking about the stuff that falls from the sky and hits you on the heads. I'm talking about this definition, hail, to greet or enthusiastically, which is how I think our words will be received. If we stand on these 4 things, so what do they stand for? See if you can guess. The H, honesty, of course, being true in what you say, being straight and clear. The A is authenticity, just being yourself, and a friend of mine described it as standing on your own truth, which I think is a lovely way to put it. The I is integrity, being your word, actually doing what you say, and being somebody people can trust. And the L is love. Don't mean romantic love, but do I mean wishing people well for 2 reasons. First of all, I think absolutely honesty may not be what we want. I mean, my goodness, you look ugly this morning. Perhaps that's not necessary. Tempered with love, of course, honesty is a great thing. But also, if you're really wishing somebody well, I'm not even sure you can do these 2 things simultaneously to hail. Also, now that's what you say, and it's like too old a song. It is what you say. It also the way how you say it. You have an amazing toolbox. This instrument is incredible, and yet this is the toolbox that very that very few people have ever opened. I'd like to have a little romance in there with you now and just pull a few tools out that you might like to take away and play with, which will increase the power of your speaking. Register, for example. Now, falsetto register may not be very useful of this time, but there's a register in between. I'm not going to get very technical about this. For any of you who are voice coaches, you can locate your voice however. So if I talk up here in my nose, you can hear the difference, which is where you most of us speak from most of the time. If you go down here in my throat, but if you want weight, you need to go down here to the chest. We move for we vote for politicians with lower voices. It's true because we associate with depth, with power, and with authority. That's the register because you can train, and there are amazing things you can do with breathing, with posture, and with exercise to improve the timbre of your voice. This is the sing-song, the meta language, the prosody. I love prosody that we use in order to import meaning. People who speak all in one note are really quite hard to listen to if they don't have a prosody at all. That's where the word monotonic comes from, or monotonous, monotone. Also, we have the repetitive prosody now coming in, where every sentence ends as if it were a question when it's actually not a question, it's a statement. And if you repeat the one, it's actually restricting your ability to communicate through prosody, which I think is a shame. So let's try and break that habit. I can get very excited by saying something really quickly, or I can slow right down to emphasize, and at the end of the course is our old friend silence. There's nothing wrong with a bit of silence in a talk, is there. We don't have to fill it with ums and ahs. It can be very powerful. Of course, pitch often goes along the piece of indicate arousal, but you can do it powerful. Of course, pitch often goes along with piece to indicate arousal, but you can do it just with pitch, higher pitch. Where did you leave my kiss? So slightly different meaning for those who deliver. And finally, volume, loud. I can get really excited by using volume. Sorry about that. If I started anybody, or I can have you really pay attention by getting very quiet. Some people broadcast the whole time, that cold sarcasting, imposing your sound on people around you carelessly and inconsiderately. Of course, where things all comes into play, most of all is when you've got something really important to do. It might be something to stage like this and giving a talk to people. It might be proposing merits, asking for a raise, a wedding speech. You owe it to yourself to look at this toolbox, at the engine it's going to work. On warm up your voice. Actually, let me show you how to do that. I'm going to show you the 6 vocal warm-up exercises that I do before ever talk I ever do. Anytime you're going to talk to anybody, important to do this. First, arms up. Deep breath. In and sign out. Ah, like that. One more time. Ah, very good. And now, brrr, brrr. Now your lips should be becoming alive with exaggerated la 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 la. Beautiful. You're getting really good at this. And then roll an R. Champagne for the tongue. Finally, and if I can only do one, the pros call this the siren. So you go wee-ow, wee-ow, fantastic. fantastic. Give yourselves a round of applause. It's really good. It starts with we and goes to ow. So you go wee ow, wee ow. Next time you speak, do this. Do those in advance. Now, let me just put this in a closer context. This is a serious point here. We speak not very well in environment that's all about noise and bad acoustic. I have talked about that on the stage in different paces. If we're going to speaking powerfully to people who are listening consciously, nor to make that a big larger, what would the world be like, and consuming sound consciously for sound, and one where understanding would be the norm, and that is an idea worth spreading. Thank you.